Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's confirmation post. We're on the eighth commandment this week, which is you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. So, essentially, this week we are learning about what comes out of our mouths and how we are to act as Christians because of that. So, eighth commandment: you shall not bear false witness against your neighbors. What is this? It says we are to fear and love God so that we do not tell lies about our neighbors, betray or slander them, or destroy their reputations. We'll save the second part for a little later. So this first part, we're to fear and love God so that we don't tell lies about our neighbors, betray or slander, or destroy their reputations. How do we do this? We do this in many and various ways. We do this when we talk behind people's backs. We can do this talking face to face with someone. Lying is a very prevalent practice in today's world. I think we can look no further than recent events. There's been a election cycle going on, and if any of you know what mudslinging is, that's essentially what this commandment is telling us not to do, right? For those who don't know, the mudslinging is when you paint your opponent in the worst possible light. I think the example we used in class was, I'm running for office and I say, well, Pastor Clegg does X, Y, and Z, and he doesn't like puppies. He kills puppies. But then he says, well, interim Pastor West does this, that, or the other thing, and he kills kittens, right? It's kind of dark, but it's painting the worst possible picture. It's putting us in the worst possible light, so that people are more likely to vote for you because you're somehow better than the other person. But we're still lying, right? It's not it's not the best way to get people on your side. So we're not to tell lies about our neighbors. And this happens in big arenas. It happens in politics, but it can also happen in school, right? What else? Teasing can lead to this. What about grades, right? Once upon a time, you could get home before before report cards came, and you could see the damage. You could see how much trouble you were going to be in that night when your parents got home. Anymore, they're just emailed out. You can't do that, right? Somehow it's become harder to harder to lie, maybe. Maybe. But this can happen, if you get a bad grade on, I don't know, a vocabulary test, right? And maybe your parents ask you, well, what did you get? And I say, I did well. I got a B, and you failed it. Sometimes we want to say things to make us feel better, and unfortunately, all it does is kind of stave off the inevitable. Sooner or later, your lies are going to come to light, and that's God's arena, right? We've discussed this in some of the other commandments too, right? With stealing, you could steal something and not get caught by the police, but God knows, right? You can get away with it here and now, but God knows, right? And this commandment does the same thing. It does the same exact thing. It convicts us of our inability to keep our mouth shut. And another way to think about this commandment is triangulation, and that's when someone tells me something in confidence, and then I go and tell someone else, and then they go tell someone else. It's just kind of this thing that blows out of proportion when it doesn't need to, right? Confidence is a very important thing. Trust is very important. Without that, we have very little. that would unite us, right? Destroy their reputations. That's a big one. And not just hurt, I mean destroy. That's what Luther says. That's his explanation of this commandment. Um, think about that. Think of how maybe you do this. Maybe do you destroy other people's reputations? Does just one little lie, does that, you know, is someone who was teased in school? Words, words matter, right? What comes out of our mouths really makes a difference, and it would be smart for us to think before we speak, because that first-hand experience is, you know, what comes out of our mouths can hurt, and we say it doesn't, but things stick with you, things stay, and those things can hurt, right? So the second part of this commandment, and I promise this is related. He says, instead of doing these things, betraying, slandering, and destroying reputations, we're to come to the other person's defense. Speak well of them and interpret everything they do in the best possible light. This is almost impossible. Going back to the teasing example, people don't do things for no reason, right? Take a bully, for example. You know, he or she may have a rough time at home. Maybe their life at home isn't the way it should be, and their parents are treating them in bad ways. Stands to reason that when they come to